What is happening, fellow fantasy GM? I'm JJ Wang. He's the bearded one, DJ Dub, and with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
What is up, JJ Wang? Week one of fantasy is in the books. It was rewarding and painful all at the same time. How was your week, man?
I mean, it was good. Like I said, I didn't get to watch too much of the games yesterday. I got to do a lot of refereeing soccer, which is probably refereeing is a terrible job, by the way.
When I am
I,
blind and I can't see.
Yeah, man, you're just a bad guy all over the place. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I got home in time to watch the football games, so I mean, yeah, definitely excited. I mean, it
Yeah,
was I love it.
yeah, my butt was glued into the sofa. Had a buddy come over, and I realized at about 12:30 the Dolphins didn't play till 4, so the first half of the day was all red zone, and we threw on the Eagles game. So we got in some games, and my buddy was excited that he didn't have to watch the Dolphins. He got to watch all the games, and he watched the start of the Dolphins with me. But otherwise, it was good to be back. Good to see the fall in football. And now, welcome today. Today's going to be our Tuesday show. We're going to add an extra show just to give a slight recap to the week before, and then look at maybe some possible guys you should grab and get you ready for the week. Because fantasy isn't just a Sunday game. Fantasy isn't just a Thursday or Monday night game. Fantasy is all 52 weeks, 365 days a year if you're diehard and ready. And we're mostly dynasty anymore anyway. So if you're not dynasty, need to find it, or just keep watching fantasy 365 days a year, unless it's leap year. Then you can watch it one extra day.
But yeah, I love that. Get the extra day of fantasy. I mean, you can't go wrong with an extra day. I love it.
Also, check out the Fantasy Couriers on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok now. How about TikTok?
Oh wow, we got TikTok now.
Facebook, yeah, we got a couple of TikTok followers. Our Instagram followers, we are up to, as of I believe the last check, 107 Instagram followers. I've learned reels. It's kind of fun. I put a reel up Sunday, and I was pretty much wrong on everything. I'll talk about that in a moment. You can email us at thefantasycouriers@gmail.com. You can also check out the website, thefantasycouriers.wixsite.com/website. All of those are on the podcast links, the YouTube links. You can see them all right there. Leave us some comments. We'd love to answer questions on the pod. We have a goal of 50 subscribers to YouTube on September. If you're in our leagues and you haven't subscribed to us, it really is easy. You push the follow button. If you're just a random person, thank you for following us, because I think there might be some more random persons than some of our close friends. So we might have to do what the 49ers have done and say, some of our friends might not have to play this week. We might just have to say, hey, you're not professional enough yet to play. So we're going to start out by talking about some of the big news of the week. We got basically three big news. One of them we're gonna talk about a little more later, but I'm going to start off with something I was excited to see. I think we both were, because we both watched him a lot in college with Florida State. But welcome back to the NFL, Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston did set an NFL record. He had the fewest yards for a quarterback with 5 touchdowns, 148 yards and 5 touchdowns. And the amazing thing is, most of those, almost a third of those, were on that 55-yard pass to Harris.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, he actually looked good out there. I mean, he
Oh,
looked
yeah.
impressive. I mean, it's amazing what a good coach can do for you. I mean, he literally looked like a completely different person. He wasn't forcing the ball. There was a couple of times I seen it. He could have made that bad throw, but he didn't. He was just he just dumped it off. And man, if he can play, I don't know if he can be that efficient every week. Is he's still
No.
James? But I mean, if Peyton can really mint like that, I mean, the Saints might actually be better than I thought.
Yeah, I got,
But the
I,
Packers were really bad.
oh, Aaron Rodgers had 133 yards and 2 interceptions. There was some weird stat line I saw comparing Aaron Rodgers' stat. I forget who the other person was, but his stats were so bad that it was some total putts. Like, if Jameis Winston had more fantasy, or yeah, he had more fantasy points on the ground than Aaron Rodgers did total. I'm looking here at the
That's
box
crazy.
score.
Like, yeah, that's probably the worst I've seen Aaron Rodgers play his whole career. I mean, I've never seen that. Like that whole team was bad. I mean, the running game was non-existent. And I mean, I didn't even see Aaron Jones carry the ball. No, he probably know he had some carries, but it didn't even
He
seem
had
like.
5 whole carries for 9 yards.
Yeah, so I mean, but like you
Should have been on my
said,
dynasty team. What do you think's real?
but with Aaron Rodgers playing bad, I mean that just hurts. I mean that just hurts everybody. I mean if you had any of the Packers, I'm sorry, man.
And 20 passes for Jameis was just crazy. They're gonna be an old school running team. Kamara had 10. My boy Tony Jones Jr. Let me mention Tony Jones Jr. A correction from last week. I called him Tony Evans Jr. and Tony Evans is actually a mega church pastor. So I don't think Tony Evans is going to score you any touchdowns.
Why
But
not?
Tony Jones Jr. did have 11 carries for 50 yards. So I think if you have very deep,
I mean, he was getting a lot of work in the beginning. I mean, he was getting more work than Kamara running the game in the beginning, and then he got hurt and he disappeared. I don't think he played the rest of the game. He hurt his
yeah.
wrist or something, I believe.
Oh golly, please don't let it be the DJ Dub jinx. But we'll see how it pans out. But the Saints, they could be for real. We were talking before we recorded. Although I think the Packers next week, they're going to come out and just obliterate. They are playing. I saw who they were playing. I was looking forward to the next week. Uh,
Detroit, I think.
Detroit. So that makes it even worse. They're playing the putrid Lions, and they're going to obliterate that. Speaking of the Lions' opponents, really all we got to say is
I mean, it looked
Debo.
like he was the only player receiver out there. I mean, he like looked really, really good. I mean, Kittle didn't do all that much. Ayuk, I don't even think Ayuk played.
Ah,
He had 0 points. Um, but yeah, that 70-yard bomb. I think. I mean, he looked way better than I mean, I anticipated him looking. So
uh, it is the Lions, but
that's true.
still, Jimmy G. I said he's going to play this year. 300 yards for Jimmy G. Uh, Debo just 12 targets, 189 yards. And when's that going to happen? The only downfall is Debo almost gave the Lions the win with that fumble he had a costly fumble at the end that almost blew it. I was like, Debo, how do you blow a great day? I'm going to fumble. Why not? I mean, Kittle
Yeah,
still had a 78.
Lions came back in and made it interesting. The thing is with the Lions, thing with the Lions, who's the number one running back there?
Uh, it's still Swift. We'll be honest here.
I mean, as far as running back, like pure running back and goal line back, I think Jamal Williams is going to get a majority of the work. I mean,
He is. But I saw Swift played what 60% and Jamal played 40%, something to the or it might have been, I think it was more, it might have been 75-25, something ridiculous. Like 60. Swift played a lot more of the game than I really thought he did, or was going to be honest. But Jamal looked pretty studly. He had a better yak. Uh,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
Swift got to be lucky he got that long screen touchdown, that long passing screen.
you get a
I mean, like I said,
33-yard touchdown, changes the game.
that's what Swift does. I mean, he has big play potential.
Yeah, and so I had a team that had Brady as the quarterback. So I started off really, really good. And then on Sunday, Ayuk was one of my starting receivers. And my number 3 receiver on my team was Russell Gage. Nobody might not have heard of Russell Gage. He's this guy on the Falcons that's supposed to be good this year. He had 2 targets for 0 yards, and he basically played like every member of the Falcons, which was garbage.
Garbage. Even your number one overall wide receiver, he didn't
Oh,
even look. He didn't even look. Like I said, nobody looked good on that team. That team just did not look good at all.
I mean, Kyle Pitts, the stud of all studs, looked like a rookie tight end.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he got his target. I mean, I think he had 8 targets. I mean, that's good. I mean, if he's getting 8 targets a game, I like I said, there'll be better days.
yeah, Ridley and Pitts both had 8 targets.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Ridley's just a much better, superior player, and he turned it into 51 yards, whole
Right.
51 yards. Oh, look, it was great on my team. I was very excited. Luckily, the team with Ridley just did really well, but oh my goodness, did they look pathetic? How bad can the Falcons be this year? Do you think?
If I'm just judging on that game, I mean, 3 wins, four
So
wins. I mean, I think they could be battling for that first pick, even though I think Jacksonville's probably got it locked up, probably.
uh,
But yeah, I mean,
they play
I
the
mean,
Buccaneers. They play the Buccaneers this week.
who Jacksonville?
No, the Falcons.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, well, they're definitely going to start off 0-2. But you never know. it's football. They can come out and look like a completely different team, and maybe actually even give them a game. But yeah, I think they'll be getting maybe that another top five pick. They're,
Yeah,
you know,
probably. It'll
yeah.
be interesting to see. And just one thing that has nothing to do. It's not on the docket. Just so everybody knows, the Dolphins did win this week. They are 1-0. All I heard about that game was Mac Jones, Mac Jones. Well, Mac Jones lost. He played about as good as Tua. They both, but he's 1 year younger. So Mac Jones is the next great thing. I saw someone put out. Mac Jones's first game stats were very similar to Tua's first game stats. So Mac Jones just threw the ball a lot, and his running backs just kept fumbling. Uh,
But
he-
other than the fumble, I mean, Harris had that one fumble, but Harris played really well. I mean,
yeah,
he had 100 yards.
we couldn't stop him.
Like I said, that fumble at the end of the game killed it. I
But
mean,
everybody thinks that they're like Harris is going to get benched. I was like, no, he's not. Stevenson fumbled too.
yeah. I mean, I think they're still going to go with Harris now since they both fumbled. But
Yeah,
Harris looked good out there.
legit, legit. So, second part of the day today, we're each going to give three big takeaways from the week. I'm going to let you give us your first disgusting takeaway of the week, there, Mr. Wang.
Well, since everybody knows my love for this guy, he was playing his former team, so he had that revenge game factor. It's Sam Darnold. I mean, he looked really good. He looked like an actual NFL quarterback out there. It's amazing what a good coach can do for you that with a good offense. But I think he had 275 yards passing, I believe. Yeah, so he was 24 for 53 or 35 for 279 yards and a touchdown. And he did have one rushing touchdown. And that pretty much all came in the first half when they were up 19-0. So the second half, he didn't play as well, but they probably reeled it back in. The Jets started coming back in a little bit, but he's out making big plays. His throws look good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a top 12 quarterback by any stretch of the means, but he looked like a legitimate starting quarterback out there. And that's all you can ask for, especially if you're playing in a two quarterback league. I think Sam Darnold will be a great option. I think he does have the Saints next week. So that's going to be a tough test. We all seen what they did to Aaron Rodgers, and we can pretty much assume that Sam Darnold is no Aaron Rodgers. But for the first game, I think the Panthers looked really good. McCaffrey's still McCaffrey. And Darnold looked like a legit quarterback out there. I was impressed.
I mean, not that I wouldn't look like a legit quarterback against the Jets, but we'll go on from there.
Hey, man. Hey, Jets are still an NFL football team. You got to take it where you can.
Are they?
Most of the time.
Okay. My buddy that was with me was a Zach Wilson fan, so he was getting real excited, then down, then excited, then down.
Oh,
And
he looked awful in the first half.
yeah,
He did not look. He was
he
making some.
looked like a rookie. He
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
like a
He was
rookie
making some
who's playing for
terrible.
a putrid team. I mean,
You
Trevor
know
didn't look
what? He
great.
was actually looking like Sam Darnold on the Jets. Pretty much what he looked like. He didn't look any different than Sam Darnold has the last three
So,
years.
so you're telling me it wasn't the fault of the coach? The Jets are just the Jets? No.
Could be. You
Okay.
never
Anyway,
know.
my first big takeaway from the week is some young stud quarterbacks. I'm going to focus more on one than the other, but Kyler Murray. I heard a lot of people talking like Kyler Murray, he's good, but is he going to be great? Oh my goodness, Kyler Murray buried the Titans. He had 5 total touchdowns. He just crushed the Titans. They look like a superior team. The Titans look like a JV high school squad compared to the Falcons. I mean, to the Cardinals. And I had to throw it. I told you I was going to throw it in somewhere. D Hop, 2 touchdowns. Just remember that. D Hop, D Hop, D Hop, D Hop.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I hope he relies on those two touchdowns every week because other than that, well, he had 83 yards receiving, I believe. So, I mean, don't get. I'm not going to say. I mean, still, he scored two touchdowns.
8-3.
Not everybody's going to score two touchdowns, but
Yeah,
I mean, if
he's on pace for
getting,
34.
he's only catching 6 for 83. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like I say, Christian Kirk came through a little bit too, so maybe still a little bit of shine. But yeah, he looked great. I mean, he looked like the number one quarterback in the league yesterday. Can't argue that.
But my real big young quarterback takeaway was a guy that I was scared of. I had him. I was almost trying to give him away for, well, not give him away, but get some decent value for him. And surprisingly, I got a trade offer for him yesterday
Oh,
from one of the people.
surprise!
Done, done, done. Jalen Hurts. Oh my goodness. Unless the Falcons are pretty putrid, but Jalen Hurts looked like he is going to be Lamar Jackson who can pass the ball. He was running around. He had 7 for 62 on the ground. His legs were helping to make plays, 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, Devonta Smith is the real deal. Jalen Hurts made Rager look decent. When you make Rager look decent, goodness gracious, you're gonna roll. And just watch the eye test. It was more the eye test. Like the stats were great. I don't think the stats were any. They weren't Tom Brady stats or Patrick Mahomes stats, but for somebody who I really don't believe the Eagles trust, the Eagles want to have, just from hearsay and just seeing some of the moves and support they give, he is saying, "Hey, you want me because he's good." He was honestly a guy I really liked coming out last year. I was disappointed in the landing spot because I thought Carson Wentz was going to do him in, but he didn't. But wow,
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
yeah. Everybody on that offense. I mean, they were all fantasy relevant yesterday. I mean, the running game was played well. I mean, I think Sanders had like 76 yards rushing. I think Goddard had a touchdown. I believe. But yeah, I mean that offense looked. I mean, pretty good. That mobile quarterback can really make a difference back there if he can actually throw the ball.
Moving on to my second big takeaway. Is this the year that Kelsey has some competition? Kelsey looks Kelsey like, but Darren Waller, goodness gracious, 19 targets. I could have used one more for 8 yards, and we were talking about that earlier. 10 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown. He was Carr's first, second, third look, and then Carr would look somewhere else until basically the last 5 minutes of the game. For the other part of the game, he was being doubled. I don't know if the Ravens just said, after we're gonna look line up and double you on the line, then you're gonna disappear and reappear somewhere. I think he's a magician because I saw so many Ravens around him, and then he ended up open, and he's not that fast. Ruggs could run circles around him and go much farther, but Darren Waller just looked like a monster among little bitty boys on that field last night. And wow.
Yes, from what I gather, I mean, he had a kind of a rough start to the game. I didn't get to watch the game; I was already asleep. But it seemed like he had a rough start. He said he dropped a few balls in the beginning, but once he got going, he was Darren Waller. But it's good, tough to rely on 19 targets a game. I mean, that's a lot. Brian
I don't
Edwards,
think he needs them, but because I don't want him to not catch 9 balls. I'd rather him get, 10 for 8 for 100 yards. It's the
yeah,
receptions are different, but it's not gonna if he throws to him too much, usually you lose that not
yeah,
really element of surprise. There's no surprise where it's going, but
yes, you're going the
where I'm
wrong way.
going with that one. So talk about our surprise of the week. It's
Yeah. So
shocking.
I actually picked this guy up in the rookie draft in a few leagues. I got him on my taxi squad. Didn't even think he was going to play. The guy that I thought was going to play just ended up in street clothes. I still don't understand that. Of course, that was Trey Sermon. I actually had to go in last minute and make a few adjustments. Ended up missing him in a league, left him in, so it gave me a big goose egg.
Oh,
Still ended up winning. Ended up beating Wook D's, so that made me feel good about myself
always.
with that guy not scoring. But yeah, my guy's Elijah Mitchell. Coming out of Louisiana, the rookie. Uh, he looked explosive. I mean, 5'10", 200 pounds, so he's not that big running back, but I think he's that running back that Kyle Shanahan likes. He had 19 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown. The only bad part, he was not involved in the passing game at all. He got 0 targets. So I wish that could improve a little bit, which it may. Like I said, we didn't even know he was going to be playing, of course. That's because your boy got hurt. As always, Mostert, that guy just made a glass.
Oh,
Said he's out 8 weeks. And even if he does come back, I don't even see him really going back to him at this point. They've given him so many opportunities, and he just gets hurt every time. But I think it was all about Elijah Mitchell. He's at, he's asserted himself. I think he's made a case for him to be the guy in San Francisco. Definitely more playing time. But probably get to start this coming week and see what he can do. Like it's a great offense. It's the running game in that offense is going to work no matter who's back there. We've seen it time and time again. The only issue is when Trey Sermon does decide to put on football pads, will they mix him in, to try to mix it up a little bit? But yeah, like Mitchell looked great. I mean, if he's out there, go pick him up as fast as you can.
Yeah. Uh, Raheem Mostert averaged 10 yards a carry and then died. And
That's what he does.
that's what he does. Like it's like, oh yeah, Raheem Mostert. I have Elijah Mitchell in two of our bigger dynasty leagues, and he looked beautiful on the bench with all those points. And I was like, crud. He's got to be. We're not even going to mention him as one of ours. But he's got to be the top waiver wire pickup of the week. But buyer beware. It's the 49ers. They're like the Patriots of running backs. He could go for nothing next week, and they go, "Hey, we're going to punch it to Sermon." Well, heck, Hasty could go for a bajillion yards next week. Who knows with Shanahan? He's going to Belichick us somehow. I'm going to probably start Mitchell next week. There's a
Well,
pretty
I'm
good
definitely going to start him in some leagues because on some leagues I don't have a choice but to start him.
they're playing
But
the Super Eagles though, so you got to watch out. But he looked
yeah,
amazing.
he looked good. I mean, great burst. I mean, he was making chunk plays here and there, moving the pile. I
Then
mean, I don't know.
we're gonna be dependent on him, and in 8 weeks they're gonna put Mostert back in just to do it. That's Jeff Wilson had 3 touchdowns against me in the fantasy Super Bowl last year, so
Is Jeff Wilson coming back this year? Or is he out for the year?
he's supposed to come back. I forget the window. Off the top of my head, I wanted to say it was like 6 weeks or
That's
something
what I
like that.
thought.
I forget what it was, but so you're gonna throw Jeff Wilson in there. You're gonna have Mitchell in there. You're gonna have Mostert. You're gonna have Sermon. Is one and 49ers use the hot hand. Who's it going to be this week? Are they going to say, hey, Sermon, Ayuk, you learned your lesson. The next week, Sermon's going to run for 190 yards. Ayuk's going to get 72 passes for 5,000 yards. And Debo Samuel will be nothing, and Mitchell will be
Yep,
nothing. And they'll both be starting on 2 different teams for me, and I'll be in trouble.
yep. That's how it
Um,
goes, man. Yeah,
but
but
yeah,
I mean, like I said, you got to take the shot on him at this point. 100 yards and a touchdown in his first game.
yeah, it's
You got
yeah,
you got to you got to go after him.
you got it. I heard some stats like you look at last year. The stud of this week was like Naheem Hines,
Yeah,
and the second week of last year he had 1 catch for
yeah,
5 yards and one
yeah.
carry.
I made a big play for him in the
Me too.
in your fantasy nerds league. I picked him up, and it helped me out the rest of the year.
No, but he got paid. That's all that
That's
matters.
all that matters.
Hey, tell us about these 2 receivers who are just awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of these guys. Like I said,
Oh, what's wrong
they've
with you,
always
man?
been consistent. Like so, one of them's Keenan Allen, and the other one's Adam Thielen. Like I mean, I like Keenan Allen. He's always a top end wide receiver, but both of these guys, I think they just have the love of their quarterback. When they're in trouble, you know who they're going to, and we all know Keenan Allen's unstoppable. He's been unstoppable for a while. He just seems like he's always open. I think 10 targets, 9 catches, 100 yards. I mean,
13 targets.
all 13 targets.
Yeah.
So we know Justin Herbert loves the guy. He's got so much faith in him. So I was impressed with what he did because you know where the ball's going, and he still can't be stopped. He's a great route runner. Looking back, I wish I would have picked him up somewhere, but I don't think I've had Keenan Allen on my team in like 3 years. Honestly,
Oh, really?
I don't know why.
I used to have so much Keenan Allen, and then I've used him as a chip, but I love me some Keenan.
Yeah, I mean, I might got to try to see if I can go out and maybe trade for him somewhere. I might just get a piece of him. And other guys, of course, we all know the guy not really a fan of is Adam Thielen. Not sure his stat line exactly, but he did have those 2 touchdowns. I guess Adam Thielen does what Adam Thielen does and just scores touchdowns. I guess we could just rely on him now. I think Kirk Cousins really, really likes the guy and he trusts him. He looked better than Jefferson last night. Jefferson didn't, or the on Sunday. Jefferson didn't look all that great. He had 50 yards receiving somewhere around in there, but of course the Vikings are a running team. Their running game didn't even look that great, but Adam Thielen looked like Adam Thielen did, and being 31 years old, that's really all you can ask for if he's going to score touchdowns like that.
Thielen, I was ecstatic about. I got him in one of my big leagues. 10 targets, 9 receptions, 92 yards, and
That's
two
crazy.
touchdowns.
I mean,
Jefferson was this far, and I think it was a bogus review anyway. He should have
oh
had a
yeah,
touchdown.
I remember
Butt,
that. That
his
should have
butt
been a
hit the ground.
touchdown.
that ball was over the line. So Jefferson's stat line in my world would be 571 and a touch. So he still is good, but KJ Osborne, what? I mean, for a running team, they threw for 350 yards and only ran for 61. Must be that stout Bengals team. So Thielen and Keenan, man, monsters to have. And the
Absolutely.
Bengals, they're my last big takeaway from the week. I said earlier, I said I have this feeling the Bengals, as bad as they looked before, are going to come out guns a blazing. Well, I'll be daggone. I didn't think it would be Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's the murder hawk monster this week for us. 127 yards and a touchdown. He looked like it. I mean, that's not on 29 carries. That's not a great yards per attempt, but he looked good. I heard he went down at one point. I was like, well, there's
Oh,
Joe
here we
Mixon.
go.
He must start senior. But no, he got up. He went through it. Joe Burrow, nothing super duper, but 260 and two touches, but looks great. The shock of the week for me, because he was on my bench on my team that scored not many points, Jamar freaking Chase.
So much for that
Oh,
drop. So much for the drops, right?
yeah, dude, he must have got glue on his gloves or something. Five catches, 101 and a touchdown in that long 50-yard. Holy cow. I don't even know what to say. The Bengals are in first place in the AFC North. Let's remember that.
Yeah, I mean they look that offense looked good. Ride Mixon while you can. Like I said, we everybody Mixon was dropping
Like,
down the draft because of the whole injury issue that he has. Everybody's kind of scared of it. But like evidently, as long as he's healthy, I mean, you can probably you're gonna be able to ride him as a top 12 running back or maybe a top 5 running back who continues to play like that. Receivers look good. I think Higgins even got in the end zone. Um, so that offense looked really good. I mean, if Chase doesn't drop the ball and he's catching it like that, I mean, that ceiling's way, way up here for that guy.
I have a team with Higgins and Chase. It was pretty money. And just look at the stat line. Captain America had 0 touches. Everybody thought he might get some of the passing work. Nope, didn't have 0 touches. None. I mean, Mixon had the most receiving yards for a running back. So quite interesting on that. So moving on, we have a little segment that we like to call Surefire Waste of a Touchdown this week. We're gonna just breeze through a couple of guys that were like, wow, thanks for scoring a touchdown, because that really helped nobody in the world except for people that have putrid teams like one of JJ Wang's teams. So the first guy, I'll let you throw out the first guy. Was the ending of last night.
Yeah, so I didn't get to really watch the game, but I was keeping up on the threads, and everybody kept mentioning Zay Jones got a touchdown. I didn't even know he was still playing in the league. I mean, last time I remember him was I guess he was Buffalo. I think Buffalo drafted him, so that's the last thing I remember of Zay Jones. I wasn't
What
even
a waste
yeah
of a
waste
touch.
of a touchdown.
Yeah. The next guy, Chris Manhertz, 22-yard touchdown from Mr. Oh, your favorite boy in the world, Trevor Lawrence, who had a start, but he didn't look horrible. He didn't look great. He was there, and it was like, ugh. But Chris Manhertz, 22-yard touchdown. Watch out, everybody.
That
Surefire waste of a
fire waste.
touchdown.
Yeah, I didn't even know who that guy was. So I'm going to take these next three.
Ugh,
They all scored. One of them was even my dark horse guys, and he actually did help me out. I
he
needed
looks
his
pretty good.
points. Of course, we got Mark Ingram, who I didn't. I mean, he had a lot of carries, but not a lot of. I mean, he had 85 yards.
26 for 85.
Yeah, Philip Lindsay and David Johnson all get in the end zone, but I'm pretty sure you probably didn't start any of those guys because, like you said, if you did, your team is really bad. So pretty much all three of them were surefire wastes of a touchdown.
Oh, I lied. Ingram had the 26 carries, to be
Yeah,
fair.
Ingram had 26 carries
Yeah.
and 85 yards. Yeah,
If you want to even waste it even more, why don't we just throw in the Dammy Amendola? So Amendola scored. So everybody on Houston that scored pretty much wasn't on your team unless you're in dire straits. Like some people might start David Johnson on name alone, or you because you had to, like you.
yeah,
But generally, the other three guys, you're not starting them.
yeah. So the only guy that you wanted that you started and wanted to score, I mean, he had a good game as far as receiving yards was
3 for
Brandon.
18.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
So my last guy was basically because he started over Ayuk because apparently Ayuk needs to learn to be a professional. Trent Sherfield had a 5 yard touchdown. And I'm sure he was on lots of your teams. If he was on your team, you either are the smartest fantasy mind in the world or the luckiest human being alive. So
I would
those were
agree
our
with that.
surefire wastes of a touchdown of the week. We each are going to throw out some pickups of the week. If they're on your waiver wire, go out and grab them. We mentioned Elijah Mitchell. I'm going to throw out my first guy just real quickly because I have to say his name, and that's Juwan Johnson. Looks like he's going to be a TD machine for Jameis Winston. Didn't have a whole lot of yards, but nobody really did on that team because the Packers just said, don't get a lot of yards, just score touchdowns. Keep an eye out for Juwan Johnson. If he's there, grab him.
Oh yeah, like I said, it looks like he's definitely that touchdown guy when they're inside the 5 yard line. He's a big old dude. It looks like he jumped pretty high on that one
Especially for
touchdown.
that one, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're down inside the five, they're definitely going to look at him. So I mean, like I said, he only had the 3 targets. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hit or miss because Jameis isn't going to be throwing 5 touchdowns every game. So he's definitely somebody to add though. So we'll jump over here to my guy. This was the guy that I really
Zero.
like last year coming out of college. Didn't really play that well, didn't play that much, but he looks like to be the number one guy for Oakland. Well, number one wide receiver, and that was Brian Edwards. They had 5 catches for 80 yards, I think somewhere in there. So if he can get around that every game, I mean that's going to be solid because I don't think Waller's going to get 19 targets every game, so they're going to have to spread them out a little more. The running game wasn't all that effective, so Brian Edwards looked like to be that number one wide receiver in Oakland, definitely over Henry Ruggs. I don't think Henry Ruggs is going to be.
If Brian Edwards gets passed to the entire game, not just the last 4 minutes of the
That's
game,
true.
he could be really good. Like they were looking at like Brian Edwards and Ruggs didn't get anything until the last literal 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
Because
It
the
was
rest of the game was involved just throwing it to Waller every
yeah.
time.
And then they stopped throwing the Waller when I needed one more reception. My last one is based upon a sad injury. We're trying to it's sad or glad. Jerry Judy was just killing.
Oh,
And then luckily it's just a high ankle sprain. Unluckily, luckily, like,
lucky,
I don't
yeah,
know what the
luckily.
word is best for that, but it's high ankle sprain. But once again, we're coming back to the Tim Patrick. Well, Tim Patrick is going to be that sneaky pickup. If he's on your waiver, he's people are starting to recognize that he could be there. So he might be on some teams, but he might have fallen because people are high on Hamler. If Tim Patrick is there, grab him. I think Sutton's going to step up and probably have to fill that role. Well, Fant more than likely, but because Hamler apparently likes to drop touchdowns in the end zone.
Yeah,
And but Tim Patrick, if you see him there, grab him up.
yeah.
Well, Jay, oh,
The Broncos actually look pretty good. I mean, they
mhm.
look decent. I mean, the running. Well, Melvin Gordon had that 70 yard touchdown and makes the running game
Oh,
makes it look a little better. But like the Teddy Bridgewater actually looked pretty decent out there, and Judy was. Oh, I'm so upset. Judy was on pace for a great game. And
yes, he was.
the high ankle sprain is going to linger all year long. I mean, that's just what they do. But hopefully he comes back, gets enough rest, and I think he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So
Yeah.
mid-season he come back, maybe get back on track. But he looked good. But yeah, Patrick is out there. Go pick him up.
Okay, JJ Wang, you got a little bit of sage wisdom for us as we close out of here.
Oh, absolutely. So being the first week, I know everybody's excited. These people are coming out of nowhere, scoring all these points, and these people that you thought you were going to rely on scoring, 5 points, with Zeke Elliott, Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, not looking great. Just don't overreact. These guys are the focal points of their offense. They're still going to be good. Don't go out here making random trades because you think this guy's over. Because there was one trade guy made for Ezekiel Elliott, and he traded him for Aaron Jones. And I
Fine.
mean, what good, what good did that do? I mean,
He lost Justin Fields. That's
yeah,
what good it did.
Aaron Jones ended up with 5 points just like that. But yeah, don't overreact. There's a track record for these guys. These guys are going to be good. Yeah, I mean, take your chance on those waiver wire guys, the guys that had that random game. Yeah, take a chance. But like I said, don't overreact. You've studied this. You went into the draft knowing what you were going to do. Just stay the course, and like I always say, trust yourself and trust the process. I mean, that's why it works.